The pharaohs of ancient Egypt were the supreme rulers of one of the most advanced and enduring civilizations in human history. For over 3,000 years, these divine monarchs commanded the loyalty and reverence of their subjects, leaving an indelible mark on the world, while the lives and legacies of famous pharaohs like Tutankhamun, Ramses the Great, and Cleopatra are well documented. There are many fascinating details about these rulers that remain obscure to the general public. In this video, we'll explore 10 little-known facts about the pharaohs of ancient Egypt that will shed new light on their remarkable world. Pharaohs were considered living gods. The ancient Egyptians believed their pharaohs were living incarnations of the gods on earth. Each new pharaoh was seen as a new embodiment of the falcon-headed god Horus, the son of Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Upon death, the pharaoh was believed to become one with Osiris, ensuring their eternal divine status. This divine status afforded the pharaohs immense power and authority. They were not merely political leaders, but high priests who alone could commune directly with the gods and perform sacred rituals. Only the pharaoh could enter the inner sanctum of a temple and make offerings to the deities. This blending of religious and political power was a key source of the pharaoh's absolute rule. Pharaohs underwent rigorous training from birth. Becoming a pharaoh was no easy task in ancient Egypt. From a young age, the future ruler underwent an intensive regimen of physical, mental, and spiritual training to prepare them for the demands of the role. As children, potential pharaohs were taught hunting, archery, and horsemanship to build their physical prowess. They also studied mathematics, astronomy, law, and the art of warfare to hone their intellectual and strategic abilities. Crucially, they were also schooled in the complex religious rituals and ceremonies they would be expected to perform as living gods. This grueling curriculum continued well into adulthood, with the crown prince serving as a co-regent alongside the reigning pharaoh to further develop their skills. Only after proving themselves worthy through this arduous process could a prince ascend to the throne. Pharaohs were often depicted with artificial beards. One of the most distinctive features of pharaonic iconography is the long, plaited beard that adorns the chins of these rulers. However, contrary to popular belief, most ancient Egyptian men, including the pharaohs, were actually clean-shaven. The artificial beard worn by pharaohs was a symbolic rather than practical accessory. It was meant to emulate the beard of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, and signify the divine status of the ruler. Even female pharaohs like Hatshepsut were depicted sporting this artificial beard, further emphasizing their claim to absolute power. The style of the pharaoh's beard also held significance, with the shape and length conveying information about the ruler's status and achievements. A longer, more ornate beard was a mark of a more senior or accomplished pharaoh. Pharaohs wore elaborate headdresses with symbolic meaning. In addition to the artificial beard, the pharaohs of ancient Egypt were known for their distinctive and elaborate headdresses. The most famous of these was the double crown, which combined the red crown of Lower Egypt and the white crown of Upper Egypt. This dual crown symbolized the pharaoh's dominion over the unified kingdom of Egypt. Other common headdresses included the Atef crown, which featured ostrich feathers, and the Pschent crown, which incorporated the cobra goddess Wadjet. These crowns were not merely decorative. They held deep religious and political significance. The cobra, for instance, was a symbol of the pharaoh's divine right to rule and their ability to strike down enemies. Wearing these elaborate headdresses is an essential part of the pharaoh's ritual performance of their role as living god and supreme leader. Pharaohs owned all the land in ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was not merely the political and religious leader. They were also the absolute owner of all the land in the kingdom. This concept of the pharaoh as the sole landowner was a fundamental tenet of the Egyptian state. All the land in Egypt was considered the property of the pharaoh, who then granted parcels to nobles, priests, and commoners for their use. Egyptians did not own the land they farmed or lived on. They were essentially tenants of the pharaoh, obligated to pay taxes and provide labor in exchange for the right to work the land. This system of pharaonic land ownership was a key source of the ruler's wealth and power. It allowed the pharaohs to amass tremendous resources, fund grand construction projects, and maintain a large bureaucracy and military to enforce their authority. It was a system that endured for over 3,000 years of Egyptian history. Pharaohs maintained a vast bureaucracy to govern Egypt, to effectively rule over their vast kingdom. The pharaohs of ancient Egypt relied on a sprawling, bureaucratic apparatus. This included a complex system of government ministries, provincial administrators, scribes, and other officials who carried out the day-to-day functions of the state. At the apex of this bureaucracy was the pharaoh, who served as the supreme lawgiver and arbiter of justice. Beneath them were viziers, who acted as prime ministers, overseeing the various government departments. Provincial governors, known as nomarchs, administered the country's regions, while scribes maintained meticulous records of the kingdom's affairs. This highly organized bureaucracy allowed the pharaohs to effectively collect taxes, manage the economy, and maintain control over their subjects. It was a testament to the administrative prowess of ancient Egyptian civilization, which could rival even the most sophisticated modern governments. Pharaohs commanded a powerful military. In addition to their religious and political authority, the pharaohs of ancient Egypt also wielded formidable military might. As the supreme commanders of the Egyptian armed forces, the pharaohs led their armies in conquering neighboring lands and defending the kingdom's borders. The Egyptian military was a highly disciplined and technologically advanced force, equipped with advanced weapons like bronze swords, composite bows, and horse-drawn chariots. Pharaohs like Thutmose III and Ramses the Great led their armies to decisive victories, expanding Egypt's sphere of influence and amassing vast wealth through conquest. The pharaohs also maintained a large standing army to project power and quell any internal unrest. This military might was a crucial component of the pharaoh's absolute authority, allowing them to enforce their will both at home and abroad. Pharaohs were buried with vast treasures. When a pharaoh died, they were interred in elaborate tombs filled with an astonishing array of treasures and provisions for the afterlife. These royal burial sites, such as the famous Valley of the Kings, contained everything from precious jewelry and artwork to everyday household items. The most famous example is the tomb of Tutankhamun, which was discovered largely intact in 1922. It contained over 5,000 artifacts, including the pharaoh's iconic golden death mask, as well as furniture, clothing, and even food and wine. This lavish display of wealth was meant to ensure the pharaoh's comfort and status in the afterlife. The construction of these grand tombs was a massive undertaking, often involving thousands of workers and taking decades to complete. The pyramids of Giza, for instance, are believed to have been built by a workforce of up to 100,000 people. This dedication to the pharaoh's eternal resting place was a testament to the reverence in which they were held. Pharaohs were mummified to preserve their bodies. A key aspect of ancient Egyptian funerary practices was the process of mummification, which was performed on the bodies of deceased pharaohs. This elaborate ritual was meant to preserve the pharaoh's physical form for the afterlife, ensuring their continued existence as a divine ruler. The mummification process involved removing the internal organs, drying the body with natron salt, and wrapping it in linen bandages. The brain was even removed through the nose and discarded, as the ancient Egyptians believed the heart was the seat of intelligence. Once the mummification was complete, the pharaoh's body was placed inside an ornate sarcophagus, often made of precious materials like gold. This sarcophagus was then interred within the pharaoh's tomb, surrounded by the vast array of treasures and provisions for the afterlife. The preservation of the pharaoh's physical form was crucial to their continued divine status in the afterlife. Mummification ensured the pharaoh could be reborn and resume their role as ruler of the kingdom, even after death. Pharaohs faced threats from within their own families. While the pharaohs of ancient Egypt wielded absolute power, they were not immune to threats and challenges from within their own royal families. Sibling rivalries, palace intrigues, and even outright usurpation were not uncommon in the annals of Egyptian history. One notable example is the reign of Hatshepsut, a female pharaoh who took the throne in the 15th century BCE. Hatshepsut initially ruled as regent for her young stepson, Thutmose III, but eventually crowned herself as pharaoh, sparking a power struggle that lasted for years. Similarly, the sudden death of Tutankhamun at a young age led to a period of political instability, with various factions vying for control of the kingdom. This included a high-ranking official who may have been involved in Tutankhamun's demise and subsequently seized the throne. These internal conflicts highlight the fragility of the pharaoh's seemingly unassailable position. Even the most powerful rulers were vulnerable to the machinations of ambitious relatives and court officials who sought to undermine their authority. In conclusion, the pharaohs of ancient Egypt were far more than just the iconic figures we see depicted in popular culture. They were divine rulers who commanded the reverence of their subjects, wielded immense political and military power, and left an indelible mark on one of the greatest civilizations in human history. For more fascinating historical facts, I suggest this video that will amaze you. If you thought these ancient Egyptian pharaohs were fascinating, just wait until you see what other historical secrets we have in store. Hit that subscribe button and join our mummified crew of history buffs. We promise not to put a curse on you unless you forget to hit that bell icon, of course.